All right, so we're gonna get into shoulder cars, and I'm gonna be in this kneeling position. Essentially kneeling is gonna be pretty much the same as standing. The only difference is when I'm kneeling here, I'm gonna be blocking my hips, right, from moving, right? Or it's gonna be easier for me to block my hips from kind of tilting or rotating or anything like that. So I'm really gonna make sure that, again, keeping my abs tight, and as I work through my range of motion, right? So whether you're here, tall kneeling position, right? I'm just gonna be here just so, again, I can stay on camera. So like I talked about before is that I'm not gonna necessarily go straight up, okay? I can, and there is different exercises that we'll talk about, to where you're gonna kind of come across your body, supinate, right, and do that. But for right now, right, I wanna think about, especially on the days that I know that I'm gonna be overhead pressing, I'm really going to be starting off by going up into this angle here, not straight up this way, all right? So keep that in mind, right? So again, in my kneeling position, abs are tight, nice and tall through the spine. So my shoulder is actually going to be forward slightly. So what I mean by that is, right, you can see my rib cage is compressed, but what I'm actually doing is I'm gonna be kind of protracting with my scapula, right? We're taught all the time to kind of come back and down, right? And be in this position here and have this super open and big chest, right? Which biomechanics is not really the most efficient way to be moving, right? So I actually want my shoulder to be forward slightly, okay? And in the quadruped position too, you're already gonna be there. That's why I love quadruped so much as well. But again, in this kneeling position, right? So notice the position, nice and tall through the spine, right? Shoulder slightly forward, really just protracted at the scapula. And now from here, I'm gonna come up. Notice that my shoulder stays down, right? So I have no more overhead flexion without compensating at the elbow, right? So once I find that block, then I'm gonna start to internally rotate like I'm making a thumbs down. Still fighting for more rotation. Abs tight. Rotate, rotate, rotate. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back into extension. Find that block. I'm still internally rotated, still rotating as much as I can. And then once I find that block, I'm gonna externally rotate. Keeping that arm up as high as I can. And then back down into that starting position, okay? So, like I talked about before, right? We can experience, right, different sort of movements in this exercise. So I talked about kind of coming across my body. So now when I start, I'm gonna open up my hand, right, like I'm supinating here, right? Supinated position, and I'm gonna come across my body, right? So really just kind of coming to my midline, okay? So this is where a lot of people already start to compensate, is they'll start to flex at the elbow, right? Or shrug at the shoulder, or head will glide forward, okay? So again, I wanna make sure that, again, abs are tight, nice and tall through the spine, right? Protracted at the scapula, and then I'm gonna come here, palms open up towards the ceiling. Now once I find that block, then I'm gonna start to elevate and rotate, internal rotation, thumb down, right? So just like what we talked about, same range, same movement. Still fighting for more internal rotation as I go back into extension. Once I find that block, externally rotating, palm up towards the ceiling, coming down across my midline, and back down, okay? So that's another way that you can do, right, that shoulder car. In that kneeling position, you can also go up to a standing position, right? Again, doesn't really matter. Make sure that, again, abs are tight, right? Protracted at the scapula, and nice and tall through the spine, right? And you're gonna feel, right, a lot more stability as you start to control that range of motion and becoming aware of your compensations, okay? So true range of motion, right? Don't try to gain maximum range of motion, or just because you saw somebody else go way up here or you saw me go up here, right? If your elbow is flexed here, right, you're compensating a little bit, right, and it's gonna happen somewhere else. So keep that in mind, make sure that you're practicing quality reps, and that is the shoulder car.